Getting laid off feels like the end. But what if I told you it's actually the beginning? Imagine waking up one day and realizing that the stability you've known, your career, your income, your future plans has all vanished, gone in the blink of an eye. Sounds terrifying, right? That's exactly what getting laid off can feel like. But here's the kicker. It's not the end. In fact, it could be the start of the greatest comeback story you'll ever tell. Now, I know this from personal experience because I've been there. If you've been watching this channel, you would know that this is roughly the 1-year anniversary of me losing my previous job. What happened? I got laid off, and when it happened, I wasn't ready. I had no contingency plan, no safety net, and my family relied solely on my income. The shock, the fear, the uncertainty, it was all very real for me. It was one of the hardest and most humbling experiences of my life. I was laid off, and it hit me harder than I ever thought possible. In the chaos and uncertainty that followed, I found myself at a crossroads. I could sink into despair or figure out a way forward. Now, the weight of that responsibility nearly crushed me, but here's the truth. That moment of devastation became my turning point, and it can be yours too. Here are the 6 most important steps I took to get back on my feet and what I recommend to anyone facing a similar crisis. Number 1, file for unemployment even when it hurts your pride. Now, filing for unemployment was something I struggled with for a long time. I initially took out a loan against my 401k at first, thinking I could ride out the storm on my own. But truthfully, I really didn't have much in there to begin with due to poor past financial decisions. So it wasn't really a long-term solution. And the thing about tapping into your 401k is that while it might seem like relief in the moment, you're essentially robbing your future self. And even though retirement might feel like a distant concern when you're facing a crisis today, one day you're going to probably need those funds. And you also can't forget that some options for withdrawing that money from your 401k come with hefty tax implications and penalties if you're under the age of 60. Now, anywho, I eventually had to swallow my pride and file for unemployment. Now, it wasn't easy for me because I've always prided myself on being someone who figures things out on my own, so relying on assistance felt like admitting defeat. I waited a couple of months hoping to scrape by on side income, but reality hit hard. I had to come to the realization that it wasn't about me, it was about my family and keeping a roof over our heads. I wasn't making enough to sustain my lifestyle, and I had to admit that I needed help. I also had to work with my mortgage lender to get a repayment plan, which was another humbling experience, but it was necessary to avoid foreclosure. Now, if you find yourself in a similar situation, don't hesitate to explore either of these 2 options. Both were completely new to me, but a simple Google search will get you started on understanding the process, and especially with regards to unemployment benefits. Each state has a unique process, so research the process that's relevant to the state that you're in. Now, the recommendation here really is file for unemployment immediately. The sooner you file, the faster those benefits will come in. And you'll also want to get ahead of potential delays in processing your application, because honestly, before that first check hits, there is a slight delay. I believe for me, it was about 2 weeks. So it took a total of 4 weeks before I received my first check. Now, if you have any hesitancy about doing it, remember that you've paid into these programs with your hard work and through your taxes, and they are designed to support you in times of need. Also, if you have a mortgage or any other large loans, contact your loan provider early because most companies do offer temporary relief programs that can help you keep your home while you get back on your feet. Number 2, review and update your finances, but protect what matters. Now, when the layoff hit, I had to make some serious cuts to our budget. Certain services we use regularly had to go, but one thing I made sure of was that my children didn't feel the impact of my unemployment. That was a non-negotiable for me, so I kept services like Disney Plus and Netflix because I knew that these small comforts were important to maintaining a sense of normalcy. I also kept them enrolled in their extracurricular activities, not because I could afford it easily, but because I didn't want them to feel like everything was falling apart. We didn't eat out as much, and we made smarter choices with groceries, but I didn't want them to bear the burden of our financial troubles. At one point, I even got private health insurance for a few months because I was fearful of what could happen if a medical emergency arose. I simply was terrified of being hit with medical bills I couldn't really afford to pay. But eventually, the $800 a month premium became too much, and I had to let it go. Now, in hindsight, it might have been worth looking into whether I could have qualified for Medicare or other assistance options, especially since paying Medicare taxes for at least 10 years can make you eligible, even if you're under 65. Now, if you're facing a similar challenge, that's honestly something I would explore first before getting private label insurance. Now, there are also ways to cut back without cutting out the joy. Free community events, trips to the park, or even staying in to watch movies or play games can go a long way, especially with your kids. It's not about being extravagant, it's about being resourceful and making the most of what you have. The recommendation here is prioritize the essentials, but don't sacrifice your family's sense of security and well-being if you can help it. Take a hard look at your finances, but make thoughtful choices about what to keep and what to let go. Also, consider alternative health insurance options early so you can avoid a lapse in coverage. Number 3, update your resume and leverage your network. As soon as I came to terms with my situation, I updated my resume and LinkedIn profile. I had to humble myself, so I did put up the open to work banner on LinkedIn, which some people see as desperate, but I honestly didn't care because I was unemployed and I wasn't too proud to do what I had to in order to get back on my feet. I also posted about my situation, letting my network know I was looking for my next opportunity, but I tried to frame it as a positive and forward-looking post, not as a plea, but as an opportunity for people to connect with me and share leads. And truthfully, it worked. Recruiters took notice and friends and colleagues shared my information with their network. Now also, if you're a designer like me, make sure your portfolio is polished and up to date. I redesigned my portfolio, added new projects, and spent time making sure each one told a compelling story. People have different opinions on what makes a good portfolio, but I included everything: wireframes, personas, high-fidelity mockups, prototypes, the whole process. When I've been on the hiring side, I've always appreciated candidates who showed their full process because it told me more about how they think and solve problems. Now, if an employer isn't willing to take the time to review your full work, that probably isn't a company you want to work for anyway, and they're probably telling you more about themselves than they really want to tell you. So the recommendation here is update your resume and LinkedIn immediately. Don't wait to feel ready because opportunities can pass by quickly. Leverage your network. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. The professional relationships you've built over time can actually be one of your most powerful assets in a job search, especially in times of crisis. Number 4, treat job applications like a full-time job. When you're laid off, you're on the clock, even if it doesn't feel like it at first. Your funds are finite, your bills will keep coming, and unemployment only lasts for so long. I treated each day like it was my last before hitting rock bottom, and that kept me motivated to keep applying for jobs. Now, when I was on unemployment, the recommendation was to apply for at least 5 jobs a week. I actually applied for up to 5 jobs a day. I would check job boards like Indeed and Glassdoor every morning, and I sent out my resume as if my life depended on it, because truthfully, it did. And I applied for job after job, sometimes dozens of applications without hearing a word back. Now, it felt like I was screaming into a void, and every rejection email chipped away at my confidence. But regardless, I treated every application like a unique opportunity, not just another submission in a sea of rejections. I made sure I was among the first applicants for any new job post I'd encounter. If you see a job with a ton of applicants, don't let that discourage you. Sometimes the count can be misleading because companies reopen positions rather than repost. So that doesn't actually reset the application number, or I guess the number of applicants who have applied to the job. So I would say stay on top of it and don't get discouraged by rejections. You'll face a lot of silence, a lot of no's, and you'll probably have a few interviews that go nowhere, but it's a part of the process. The key is to keep showing up and putting your best foot forward, and whenever possible, tailor your cover letter to specific jobs and companies. I didn't do this for every role, but for the ones I was really excited about, I made sure to add that personal touch. So the recommendation here is apply relentlessly, set a daily goal for job applications, but balance volume with quality. Customize your resume and cover letter for roles that you're genuinely excited about. And you should also track your applications and follow up when necessary. Now, job hunting isn't about getting a position. It's about finding the right position for you. And that takes persistence. Now, I would also encourage you to exercise some level of self-awareness. If you feel like you lack some of the qualifications for a certain role, you might also have to face the reality of not being too selective with your search. Try to be self-aware with your skill set, measured against the title you're seeking and the prestige of the company, because you can always use your next role, even if it's not your ideal role, to fill any skill gaps you believe you possess, and then leverage that opportunity for your next opportunity. Play the game. Number 5, freelance, side gigs, or let your partner step in. Any extra income, legal income, is good income. I started freelancing during this time, taking on a few design projects here and there. I did some logo design and web design. I even gave platforms like Fiverr and Upwork a shot. Now, I wasn't charging what I knew I was worth, but when it's about keeping the lights on, you do what you have to. And I promoted my services across all my social media channels, which included Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, which is X now. And I did manage to get some leads that way. But truthfully, the real game changer for my family was when my wife decided to go back to work. Now, she's a registered nurse with a bachelor's degree in nursing, and she hadn't worked in years, having chosen to focus on raising our children and a career as a self-employed baker. But in this moment, she chose to re-enter the workforce as an RN. Her salary wasn't as high as mine, but combined with unemployment benefits, it was enough to keep us afloat. Now, honestly, this was hard for me to accept at first. I consider myself to be an old-fashioned or a traditional man. So as a traditional man, I prided myself on being the provider, and it did feel like a personal failure that she had to step in. But looking back, her decision was one of the key reasons we were able to stay financially stable. And in the end, it wasn't really even about ego. It was about survival. And having a partner who was willing to step in helped save us from a much darker outcome. So the recommendation here is explore all avenues of income, whether it's freelancing, gig work, or having a partner step in. Every bit of extra money counts when you're in survival mode, which is what you're in. Let go of the need to be the sole provider if it's no longer realistic, because your family's well-being is more important than your pride. And number 6, keep creating, learning, and growing. Above all, don't stop creating and learning. Now, I use my unemployment as a chance to build new work for my portfolio, take on new passion projects, take online courses, and expand my skill set. I refuse to let this period of unemployment be a gap in my growth. Now, creating for me was therapeutic because it allowed me to spend time reconnecting with the things that made me love design in the first place. And if you're not into your corporate trade, that's okay. Find a hobby or skill you've always wanted to explore. The main goal here is just to keep growing and feeling a sense of purpose. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen others make is relying solely on their past achievements. Titles and years of experience might look impressive, but if your skills aren't evolving, you're setting yourself up for failure. I've seen too many people in high-level positions lose their edge because they stopped learning. So don't let that be you. I'd also say that it's essential to focus on leveraging your skills to create income on your own terms beyond the limits of any corporate structure. Now, while I've returned to the workforce and settled into a comfortable routine, I never lose sight of the fact that security can disappear at any moment for reasons both in and out of my control. Specifically, look across the industry, there's still layoffs, there's still return to office mandates, which is troubling if that's not something that you're into, right? So you're faced with decisions that could have financial implications. So that's why it's important to continuously create and showcase your value to the world, because you become more marketable and you open doors to new opportunities that allow you to build your own brand and take control of your financial destiny. A job should never be the end goal. It's a means to an end. And true freedom lies in ownership and entrepreneurship, where the focus shifts from working for others to building something of your own. Your job can support you while you work toward the ultimate goal of turning your passion or business venture into your primary income stream. But remember, every step you take toward creating your own path is empowering, and creating something every day doesn't just build your business. It also nurtures your mind and spirit. You have the power to shape your future on your own terms. So with all that being said, the recommendation here is don't let this be a wasted period in your career. Use the time you have to learn new skills, refine your craft, and build something you're proud of. Whether it's related to your career or a personal passion, keep creating. Employers value those who continue to grow, even when the chips are down. It shows that you're resilient. Also, you have the power to shape your future on your own terms, so don't be afraid to try a variety of new business ventures or marketing tactics to make people aware of your skills and greatness. Now, with all that being said, here's the truth. I made it through, and so will you. I was unemployed for 4 months. I applied to hundreds of jobs, faced tons of rejections, and went through countless interviews. But in the end, I received 4 offers and landed on my feet. Some days you'll want to quit, but here's the thing. Nobody owes you anything in this life, including a job or a paycheck. The only person who owes you anything is you. You owe it to yourself to get up, fight harder, and become the best version of yourself. If you're going through this, I want you to remember that this is not the end. This is the beginning of a new chapter, a chance to redefine yourself, and a time to build something even better. Your value doesn't disappear just because you lost a job. In fact, your value is about to skyrocket because now you're about to show the world exactly what you're truly made of. While I hope you find your next job, if that's what you need to get by today, my bigger prayer is that you stay motivated and inspired to pursue something greater, which is your own business, your own opportunities. Please keep striving to create a future where you are no longer relying on anyone but yourself. Break free from the rat race and take control of your destiny. You have the power to build something of your own, to create a life where you don't just survive, you thrive. Keep pushing forward and never lose sight of that vision. I'm rooting for you. I believe in you. Your value is undeniable. And when life pushes you down, you rise stronger. Let this be your comeback. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Stay blessed. And until the next time, peace out.